So I want to straight away begin by asking you, the image that we played just a short while back of the very night when we saw a swarm of drones coming into our territory, and the spectacle that India witnessed, the ability to bring them down, has brought a big question, and that question is about air littoral. Now that's becoming the big buzzword. What exactly is air littoral? Who exactly manages it? What's the airspace control that we are really talking about?
It's like this that, the air littoral is a term, it's a new term, which basically comes from the word maritime littoral. Where in the maritime littoral you have the shore and the sea and the coast, wherein the ability of the susceptibility to influence, or control either the sea from the land or control the land from the sea is what is a maritime littoral. Now, when you extend this to what you just asked me, is what is an air littoral? Well, the air that is in proximity to the land, the proximal domain, it could extend to any dimension, but the proximal domain to surface operations is what is an air littoral. Now, if you look at the nature of war, it's constant, but the character of war has changed. And what has happened is that if you see Operation Sindoor, in what way has this character changed? The air threat has changed. And so this new dimension of drones, loiter ammunitions, EW intensive environments, counter drone equipment. I mean, if you just take a square kilometer in space, you would have possibly 50 drones of ours, 50 of the adversary. You had about 25 counter UAS systems to bring down those drones. You'd have about 25 EW systems, electronic warfare systems. So this particular proximal domain has got complicated. And now you look at this, that if you use drones to saturate radars and then use a high-speed missile, you've got slow-speed drones. That's the hybrid threat. If this manifests the way it can, you've got a new threat which is going to throw up a lot of challenges, where you finally exhaust your ammunition over saturation rates while the sneak through of the missile gets through. So the whole proximal domain has undergone a change, wherein the rules of engagement are going to change. The situational awareness has to improve. The sensor today, the whole concept of this proximal domain is how do you identify the drone? How do you detect him? What are the sensors that you require? And today the sensors that we had during Operation Sindoor, which were in very few numbers, they were medium level radars and long range radars. The ability to pick up the small drone and to be able to engage that small drone is where the challenge lies. And this entire spectrum of aerial threat manifests in the proximal domain. Now, whether you want to call it the proximal domain as an air littoral of a certain dimension, that's a matter of how do you want to put it across. But this proximal domain requires to be taken care of. It needs to have a detection ability. It needs to have an identification ability. It needs to have proper command and control networks, which the ISCCS and the Akash Tir between the Indian Air Force and the Army we have brought together. But it has to move out into a separate domain into the tactical battle area. And I think that is very important. And the ability, when you have so many flying objects, so many, you're going to choke bandwidths. And I think that's where the challenge lies. So if you want to have the ability to, engage effectively, you've got to be able to have distributed networks, decentralized operational ability. This capability has to go down to the div commanders and the brigade commanders. So I think that's where the whole concept of air littoral or proximal domain to the surface force operations has changed dramatically.